There's no video of us, right?
No. Take that and that over to here. And then we'll just go double check that on live, which I'm surprised it didn't. Yeah, view my channel, please. Yep, okay, it looks like I'm live. And then we'll just go double check that on live, which I'm surprised it didn't. I think it is going. I know, right? My channel, please. Yeah, okay, it looks like I'm live. And we'll just go double check that on live. Okay. I'm surprised it didn't. I think it is going. I know, right? My channel, please. Yeah, okay, it looks like I'm live. Okay. I'm surprised it didn't. Good stuff. Alright, cool. It is going. Just had to make sure. I know, right? Okay. I'm gonna go post this a couple places. I didn't think it would just start. I thought it'd give me like a fucking shit. Oh, but it didn't. What was I looking for? I was hoping it'd give me a link. Usually it gives me a link. Back when I used to stream 3 years ago, anyways. It's been a minute.
That's a good point.
Okay.
I don't remember how to...
Yeah, you're allowed to talk.
Okay.
Thank you.
You just don't know how to mess it.
You won't mess anything up. Okay. So, I've turned down my FOV today. So excuse my poor getting through things. You should look up my stream and like it, by the way. No, that goes for people in chat too. There's so many people there. Wow. Look at all the people watching right now. That's a lot of people.
Wow.
It's 0 viewers. I'm not even watching my own thing. Actually, I should just do that. And then put it live. There we go. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to basically do first. These are mostly for me. I am sorry if people are actually watching this. But 98% of this is for me. So I can see what I've done throughout the year, / years since I've done a live stream. And because I like to mark my own progress as well. Some of the building competitions I've been in before, I needed to provide proof that I was the one building them. And I was doing live streams, so I didn't have to do any fucking editing. Which is definitely the way to go if anybody has to do those. Anyways, so we're basically going to start with a finished project that I've finished and gotten fully done this year, or at least 98%. And we're going to start with the large Urchin freighter, which basically carries tons of people into battle, including small fighters, some larger fighters, and a couple squads of individuals. It's also a good landing bay for shuttles and for supplies and things like that. So, and this also is a good medical transport as well. Although the medical facilities in this ship are not complete. So, bear with me on that. But this is the bridge. This is the command bridge. Seats about 5 people. 2 people sat. One person as the observation. And then 3 people, 2 to 3 people, and the rest of the bridge. 1 person for sure at this command desk, And this basically is how the turrets are manned by the one person. Thank you for commenting. And everybody else kind of fits in where they need to. Alright, and then down here, this is where the technicians work. They bring their stuff with them wherever they go, but this is usually where they hold up and wait for assignments to come through. Alright, and then down here, it's just a stairway to get up to the bridge. As the bridge on these ships is actually pretty high compared to their Thailand counterparts. And here we got 2 bays for the technicians to work in. If they need to pull equipment or whatever they're working on, they can do so in those rooms. This is kind of like a mid deck. This is for observation purposes and data analysis. So this is kind of where those kind of people work. 2 observation windows with lower ground on both sides. And then through here, this is what gets us into the hull of the ship. So this is landing bay 1. This can hold like 1 shuttle, is basically what this is used for, or 2 fighters. Back here, this is where the mechanics work, and this is the engine setup that they have currently. Basically how it works is it's very similar to an engine in real life. There's pistons and cylinders, and then up here is where the escaping gas goes and propels it forward. This is a large gas tank, shows you how much is in there, with little indicator bars on the side. And there's supposed to be a lantern pickup over here, as this area of the ship is not well lit. It's only lit with the underside of the room above it. Anyways, so that is that. I'm trying to remember how to get through the rest. Okay, over here, this will kind of take us into the rest of the ship. This is another technician's bay. If they're working on something more based on fighters, shuttles, that kind of stuff, they can bring it in here and work on it in here instead of going up top. Down here we have another bay for the mechanics and the technicians to use. They can also bring ships into here and fix them here, but they'll have to bring them here in pieces, as there's no landing doors, landing bay doors. Thank you, Corey. Hello. I decided I'm going to do this today, like 20 minutes ago, but that's okay. And then up here, we have the lower entrance into that mechanics bay, and this will kind of take you wherever you need to go, up or down towards these pistons and cylinders, which are up there. So, that's kind of what this looks like down here. I have the siphons on both sides here. I do build my larger ships in half and then copy paste and flip them. Just a way easier way of building these massive things. So everything is super symmetrical, which I like and hate, but yeah, we do what we can. There's going to be a large apartment building that goes here in the future. I thought I built it, but I guess I didn't. And then a little balcony for those people in those apartments to come out and look over. At the end of this hallway, there is a landing bay. This landing bay can hold about 6 fighters or 3 shuttles. I have 1 fighter in here for scale. And down here is where the hospital would be. These are supposed to be elevators. They take you down into the elevator, or into the hospitals below. So, and I will show you, I made a larger ship version of the ship, and it's known as the Londonge, and I'll get into reasons why. But this is an Urchian ship, Urchian being Earth-like. So in the universe that I'm creating that these come from, there's a planet called Secondary Earth, and those have like Earth-like people who originally belonged to Earth and now belong to secondary Earth as well. And there's some other Earth-like places. Places like Beagle, which is a snowy world, kind of like Hoth from Star Wars, but more icy than snow, but very similar. And for that region, a lot of human inhabitants of secondary Earth supported life over there and built colonies there. So kind of those kind of planets where the humans originated and then migrated over. So, and then there's these giant landing bay doors that definitely allow quite a few ships in and out. Shield generators on Urchian ships are built in around the edges of the doors. So in future builds, you'll see that I tried to temper the glass to make it look like it was being powered. Oh god. I have to entertain people now? I realize the type of mouse that's been the issue. It has a pretty short wireless range. Oh god. Yeah, I can't even do like those kind of mice anymore. It's gotta be a work mouse. I don't know why, but that's the only one I ever want forever and ever. It's not even a gaming mouse. It's one of those like HPs or no, Logitech. Okay. Oh, funny. Computer's just here hanging out. Yeah, the range is really short on the other ones. Still though, that doesn't seem like it'd be that far. But I guess it could be, depending on the mouse. This is that T6 Jedi shuttle that Ahsoka flies in her show. Yeah, so that's that. I think I built that in 2024, so I'm not really going to go in depth into it. But basically, I made this one here. Purple glass. Oh, the lightning. The other corner of the room. That's what works. Oh boy. That's terrible. I can't imagine. You were probably just clicking and it wasn't clicking. Oh, that's awful. But yeah, I'll show you what the side of the ship looks like. Side of the ship is basically 3 elongated things on the bottom, and then the bridge kind of pokes up top. This is a pretty tall bridge, so there are a ton of stairs to get up to it, but that is what it is. And then the exhaust ports on the back. Oh, movement lag? Oh, that's terrible. I'm glad you got a new mouse. God, how do you function with movement lag? I would have quit like hour 1. Oh yeah, I've got vents. Did I finish these vents? No? I don't know. I don't know what I did. I don't remember. I think I finished them? No, I didn't. Oh well. I thought I did. Anyways, I got these thrusters that are done. And then this is the light speed pusher. So basically this takes in a bunch of materials and pushes them out through here, and it creates this warp speed. It happens like every 2 minutes or so. It's small but annoying. I don't know. It happens once. I'm done. Done. I quit. I would quit so fast. You can see the little observation window here. And then I built these custom turrets up top with the invisible item frames and Hearts of the Sea, I think that's what those are. God, I haven't seen those in so long. I don't play survival anymore. So that's that. Long time ago, I built these clouds because I was going to put them over my survival base. And I had yellow lightning, and then I changed it to magenta. And yeah, definitely very, very cool. I threw my mouse, but it didn't fix it. Yeah, maybe slamming it really hard on the desk would help with your mouse situation. I know that always makes my mouse super happy, and it never complains, and it never breaks. This is the Milano from Guardians of the Galaxy. I built that a long time ago for somebody who used to be at our survival base who's no longer there, so I never built it in survival. I built this. This was going to be a bridge. I watched Star Trek and enjoyed Star Trek, so I was like, oh, I got to build a bridge that kind of feels Star Trek-y. And then I was like, okay, well, I made like the front section Star Trek-y, and I was like, okay, well, I'm bored of Star Trek now, so I needed to feel more like an Equinox ship, and I did. And it looks pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with this, but I don't have a use for it yet. So right now it's just a bridge or a ship, and I'm not sure which. But yeah. Tried that too multiple times. I even put water into the battery input. That sounds like a great idea. You just waterboarded your mouse. Over here was my Terrajit original concept. Terrajit is my survival world on here. But yeah, I digress. Also this year I had to build... Was it this year or was it late last year? Either way. I was building power lines through Terrajit, so I built these. And basically it would send signals and then deactivate and hopefully reactivate on the opposite way. But I was testing things. Didn't find anything that worked well. I think that's all in this area. Trying to really just stay from this year. I guess I'll kind of go into depth on this. A while back I built this big red ship. You can see spoilers in the background. And basically I was really happy with this. It took me about 18 hours to build. So I was like, what if I made a bigger version of this? You know, and it might take me 40 now that I know what I'm doing. And I'm going to make it a big black ship. And I came up with a bunch of storylines and stuff for it. And I'm really excited about it. And this is kind of what I have ended up with, is this big black hunkin' beauty. My big black ship, as I have named it. Oh, I know. So eloquently. Thank you, Lauren. So, yeah. I think we'll kind of go through some of it, but only for a minute or two, because there's a lot of other stuff I've built this year that I'm very happy with and would really like to show you. So I developed shield generators for this ship that are very unique. It has a bio-enhanced feature to them where they're kind of... So they spread out very far, a lot further than this, but basically they can pick and choose what goes into it, kind of like the outside of a cell membrane, and that's kind of how Equinox created them, is through cellular mass. So he can set, it's kind of like its own badging system, if you will, where he can set, oh, this thing is allowed, this thing is not, and it can be per component, or it can be per vehicle, or it can be like per person. So it can even get down on a cellular level, and but basically that's how he does his shields. His shields are very different from the Urchian shields. They come from these centers of power, and you can see a couple of very small ones on the bridge. They're the blue ones. So these ones are what controls these reddish shields. Yes, these are shields that you could technically pass through if you had the correct credentials. And I apologize for the use of shakers. I only use them in the bridge, I am pretty sure, and they're just for decoration. And because I was making this into a game at one point that we could use on our server, but I never finished. So that was to alert people that you were coming up. I then developed these cannons, which are kind of based off of Star Wars cannons, and then I changed the look of them to be more equinoxy, I guess, if that's a word. And then I've got these fins on the back. These are specifically to help stop the ship if needed. They flip up and actually cause a lot more wind resistance, but they're usually down like this. So we'll continue on. I don't think I'm really going to go on the inside of the ship except to show you what I've actually built this year. This is the secondary bridge. There are like 4 bridges at a minimum on this ship. I could fly down and show you all of them, but they're not all built. But this one's supposed to be snake-like, so it's got these viper fangs. I'll show you. I worked on the main bridge of the ship recently, and by recently I mean earlier today. I made an updated one, and I'll show you the snake on that ship as well, or on that bridge as well. But basically all of them are supposed to look somewhat snake-like. Okay. So we got more shield generators. These shield generators are very important. And this is a coil, by the way. This coil heats up the entire ship. There's a couple of them up here, but they're all in the same place. This is a coil as well. This is a super coil that is used to heat up and cool down very quickly, and it is right over the server room. This connects to the server room. This is Equinox's fighter, directly in here. I'll go down here, and this is his landing pad specifically because it is right next to the server room. There are several landing places on this ship. He has multiple of his ship made because you never know when you need to quickly get out. So, and then this ship is like 1/16 scale. So I do have these giant arrays on top. These are both cannons that can be shot up, and these are terrors. So if a ship gets caught in them, then it basically tears it apart. I'll show you another ship with a very similar thing, but that does it very differently. And you'll see a bunch of these terrors in here. This one is more of a mincer. So it's got 2 arrays, which are top and bottom, and it pulls it in using the bottom array, and then the top one shreds them, basically. So we got a bunch of those over here. This is the next section. The next section has a bunch of these horns. These are going to be large command decks that are basically only used for the generals and lieutenants. And under them is going to be their emergency housing. So these are not going to be used all the time, just for emergency periods. So periods of distress, periods of long war use. I'm talking probably a week or 2. After that, the crew needs rest, and the ship abruptly leaves whatever situation it's in after a few weeks. It also needs to refuel, but we'll get into that in a bit too. These are some space trucks that I made. I took the basic semi-truck and figured why need a cab when you can just send these on their own, AI driven. So the front is a roll-up door, and then the back is a thruster. A couple pairs of thrusters, actually. So, and then these dock doors are too thick, so they are airlock compatible. I built all this year too, working airlocks, stuff like that, but I did it better on another ship, so I'll show you there. Another thing I did is I built this little bus. This bus will take people to and from different places within this giant ship, because it is absolutely freaking massive. It really only takes important people to and from, or rich people to and from, as it does cost a lot more than the on-site trams. So usually people would just use those, but the people that live here in these complexes would need to get down somehow. I added these little spikes to the front of my Invalone ship, and I thought it would be really cool to show it tearing through that cellular membrane. So I did a cool design here, which I'm actually very, very happy with. This is one of my favorite builds from this year. I'm really excited to show this. Okay. And then obviously this hole that we just saw. Sweet. Okay. We will move on. Oh yeah, refueling. So it doesn't need a refuel often, but it does take those chances during those high stress environment moments to leave for refueling purposes. On board, don't remember how many there are, but there are basically mini black holes / neutron stars, and they keep the ship pretty much efficient. So they don't need much refueling, but once in a while they do pick up extra fuel just in case one burns out, as all thrusters are very, very necessary to making this thing move. There's not a whole lot of redundancies when it comes informed to that. This is what the neutron star casing looks like, and inside, I don't have this one lit up, but you can see a neutron star. I do have one that's lit up correctly. I wonder if I could find it. Probably not, but that's basically what it looks like. Cool. Next up, we'll do this Bygolshan ship, not Bygolshan, Gobanjan ship, and basically this is from a water-like world, kind of like Earth, but a little bit less land, probably 15 to 20% less land. Most of the species lives in the oceans, in giant cities, as the land became overpopulated and they needed somewhere else to go that was cooler. So they chose the oceans. And once they chose the oceans, most of the people that were on the land decided to live there as well. So that's what we've got here. These are very complex ships, very delicate, not delicate, very, I just said complex. The complex is the best word I could think of. They have electricity arches going over this top area, and these are basically what fuels the ship. We have these are giant terrors like we saw on that other big ship. These can grab a hole and break it apart using electricity. And then you will see a large horn here, and this horn is used as a command deck as well. You'll see command decks in horns a few times. They are from these large creatures on the world of Gobanj, and are used as kind of like a memorial of those large creatures. So that's how they get their horns for their command spires. In here we've got different landing bays, full interior on the ship as well. But one of my favorite parts about this ship is the thruster design. Anybody who's watched this channel for a while has probably seen that. So that is the thruster. Cool. And then I'll move straight on into my hammerhead design for my Inviloan army. They originally used these ships when they first started their planetary governments, and they did not have a need for anything else. So they kind of fit all their needs into one place. So these were mass produced. About 150 were made within their first 15 years. So about 10 a year for their first 15 years of conflict. And then after that, they developed other tech, but I have yet to build any of those. They also use these horns. I will kind of show you these. But they also use these horns. These horns are from a creature on their world that are very similar to the ones on Gobanj, but they are much larger. And these creatures are peaceful. However, the Inviloans hunt them for sport on their world and keep them as trophies instead of the way that Gobanj do things, where it's more of a memorial of their passing. These ones do have an inner membrane wall. The Inviloans keep it, make doorways through once in a while to each different compartment. This one is a capital ship. All of them are a little different, but this one does have more capital aesthetic on the inside, as you'll see in a second. So in here we've got the capital library. This library holds all the important documents that Invilo would need to get restarted if a disaster was to happen immediately. And it's kind of a significance to them to keep this on hand no matter where they're at. They have several of these ships that are made, several of these capital ships, but they use this one specifically for the library. It's on like 2 of them, I believe. I'd have to check my notes. Down here we have a landing bay. In this landing bay we've got Osgenian fighters as well as Inviloan fighters. The Inviloan fighters are obviously, this is the ship they're meant to be in. They're meant to hang because you have to get in from the top of the fighter. And these, you also get in through the top. I don't know how you're meant to get in here because, damn, this is a highway up. But that's okay. Down the hall is where our control room is. This control room controls just the front hammerhead piece. It is on a ball joint. This is a ball joint here. And it is securely inside the ship. This door closes before it takes off, and it's double layered as an airlock. These let you go into both hammerhead pieces. Again, these have airlock doors on them that close when the ship is in battle. So any ruptures don't kill anybody. So that is mostly this. I don't really think there's anything upstairs, but we'll go see. And I would say, I think I built this ship out of cobblestone and then replaced what I needed to replace for blocks, which is how I've been doing things for quite a long time. But later on I'll show you something and a way that I ended up doing it. Or I'm going to do it from now on. My most recent projects, 2 of them, is I wanted to make a Stranger Things inspired fighter. So I made this, which kind of has like butterfly wings, but I was trying to make like portals out of them. And I'm pretty happy with this ship. It's not exactly what I was looking for, but it's it's fun nonetheless. I was just trying some things, and then I made a Skulk variant because Skulk kind of feels upside downy. So I got inspired by the big Skulk mass in front of me, and was like, you know what, I could do something with that. Cool. Okay, and then this is my Umbrican fighter, and this seats several different people inside. Umbricans are these like four-legged creatures, and I don't have a way into the ship. Yeah, I do. I think. I'll fix that in a second. But yeah, this is the way in, and it fits a couple different people in here. So this is where the pilot sits, and the gunner sits back up there. Okay. Cool. So that one's that. And then this is in a Tatooinian ship. And this is for these creatures with like really long heads, and their heads, or their eyes are kind of like at the back of their heads. Kind of weird looking creatures, so they have to have a special seating arrangement, so that they can actually see out of their damn ships. So I made this, which is kind of an eyesore, but you know, they can't tell, they can't see much. And then this is in Osgenian. I think it's an X1 shuttle. Basically, it holds a couple people. Made as like a family vehicle, basically. And then this is Red Shadow's ship. He's one of the major characters in my story. So this is his ship, and this is the front. Basically, this ship is meant to look like a person with the silhouette of the ship. So can't really tell though because the way the ship is, and I don't have shaders on. So, and then this is his bigger version, his actual size version, if you will. Again, we have the same look. It does also look like a person with a hood on for its shadow, but the inside is much cleaner, and I will 100% be showing this because I've recently built this, and I know 100% it was 2025. So, and I learned a lot doing this. I learned that I could accurately scale things while keeping the same look and design, but being able to add more detail and not make it look like a whole new ship. So I learned a lot about my building sense here. I wanted to try something smaller before I jumped into a larger project like I finished today, and I'll show you later. But yeah, this is the command center for the ship, which is basically just pilot seats, and that's about it. Nothing really too special in here. So meant for small distances, not for long distances. It gets carried in a larger ship for that. So, but yeah, I've got all the glass work, very similar. I've got the eyes on the front that I try to do here, but I was able to do them better there because I had more room, more slabs. So, and then this is an Ichthyosan shuttle, which I built a few years ago, but very, very, very happy with this build. Move past that though. This is the Ichthyosan fighter, which I have also built years ago, but these will both be ships that you'll see in a moment when I show you what other projects I've worked on this year. And then we'll go through and we'll compare some older ships that I've made to each other. So this was a build from, I believe, 2016 or 2017. This was supposed to be an Asgenian fighter. It was not colored right, but that's okay. It was supposed to be that at the time. This was the best I could do. So then, in 2023 or 2024, I built this, which is the same exact thing, just detailed and looking a lot cleaner. It is a 2-seater fighter with armaments in the back for missiles and missile launching. And it has these zappers on both sides, which it's supposed to there as well. But obviously I was not that great of a builder back then. So that's that. And then I believe this was 2025. I built this big quad blade, which are for the Amelians. And I was building, I built one, and then I put another one here, and I was trying to figure out what they would look like in a hangar bay. And because I was kind of trying to do that, so I was like, what if I build a landing bay for these? And I was kind of thinking back to, I believe that was Force Awakens, where you've got those TIE fighters on the wall hanging up. So I developed these hooks for these ships that basically just hook on, and you can see that they latch up and down under the ship. So that's that. And I kind of created like a long row of them. And then I was like, well, I could, now that I theoretically know what it would look like in a hangar, I could make a hangar and see how it looks. So I did. And I don't know how close we are to it, but I think, yeah, okay, we're straight ahead now. But you'll slowly see it come into view. So this is the landing bay door. I do have that fog effect for a reason. It would look like that in if this ship was in real life, as they don't want to give away what they have on their ship. So they're very technologically smart when it comes to that. They are more technologically advanced than any other civilization in the Story of Equinox universe. So up here, they've got these echolocation panels that basically let them see very far by hearing. So they send sound waves out and receive them here. And then down in the space below, they've got large walkways that are disconnected from other hallways, and that allows the sniper teams that are the security on this ship, one of the security branches, clear access to be able to take people out in case of a boarding scenario. This is a sniper's nest, and it's basically like a giant skyscraper. And then this is the side of the ship, and we do have some docking accessible areas. So, and then what I'm sure everybody wants to see, these are the hallways that lead into the landing bay. The landing bay is made up of a couple different parts. Up front, you've got your immediate personnel transports. So this is the command buggies, as I like to call them. They're these three-legged wheelie command centers that immediately take the lieutenants, the generals, out into the field to not only scout, but to also have a command center that's on the move. Then you've got the tanks, which would immediately support them as they can keep up. Then you've got these tri-walkers, which are three-legged walkers with claws on the bottom. These claws are adaptable to be able to climb stone and survive large amounts of wind. And then you've got your like 10-legged walkers is what these are. And these are basically also command centers on the move. They are heavily fortified. and they would also be the next thing out. These are the slowest of all of the personnel transports, so these would follow last, but these have the hardest armor and the most powerful artillery. So, and then after that we've got our fighters. These are used mainly by Neotranja, who are allies with the Amelians. However, these are outfitted with both kits, so you're able to fly them as a Neotranja, or you're able to fly them as an Amelian/human. Neotranja can't see, so they rely specifically on their echolocation to be able to know where things are around them. They have a built-in radar, basically, that acts as like their own echolocation, just like this ship does too. So their radar is basically built into them, if that makes any sense. And then these are supposed to look like tadpoles, and these are used as Gobanjan ships. So also by the royals of Beigel, they use these as well. And then we've got some smaller ships over here. These ones are specifically squad ships, so we have multiples, and then the one in the middle, the one that's different color, that one's the officer that rides with them. And you can see all of the different assignments we have going down. Obviously this is only half a ship, because I build half and then make the other half the scene. So I just copy paste. So once in a while you might see a half a ship, but that's okay, right? It's good, I swear. This is what the outside of the ship looks like. It's got that nice blue and green, and then it's got that orange sprinkled in. The orange sprinkled in is, I don't remember what it was supposed to be, but it had a purpose, I swear. But it just looks cool, I guess. That's the main reason why it's there. That's kind of how I run things, is I make something cool and then I figure out a reason why later. So, and then this will be the eventual front curve of the ship. And this edge will kind of come up, and it'll kind of have this like V look to it. It'll have these extruding marks here. Cool. What else did I build this year? There. Okay. So we'll continue straight this way. Straight this way, I built this as a spawn competition, but I think in the future, anything I build or any servers I start, I will have that as my spawn. So here I built like an oversized Igmite, basically, and this Igmite is eating a rib cage. Yeah, because I wanted to, basically. That's why. And then over here I built a Stegosaurus, and my own. I got that from somebody on the internet, and I don't remember who. But then I made my own Igmite off of it. I tore a bunch of stuff off and made that out of it. This is sauropod, basically a large four-legged dinosaur. And I want these to live on secondary Earth, so I built one here for that building contest, and then put it into my world over there. This was my building contest. I will kind of show you from the ground, from like you just spawning in the world. It's going to kind of be like this. The rules of the server were going to be up here. The different events and things could be on sides, and maybe some information on the back. But basically this is a landing bay. You go outside and you got a player shop. So we got chests everywhere, stuff sprinkled about, always new things to see and learn in here too, which is extra cool. Got hills, so this is obviously in some kind of valley, and I'll kind of go really quick through here. So around here is more player shops, kind of leading up to the end of this area. Kind of wanted it to be a cave-like wonderland, if that makes sense. In here is a cantina. This is the bar, and I was going to put items in here so that the items can float on the chest shops above it and look really clean. This is the back alley, which leads into a cave, and there's things to explore and things to find all over the place. Up above is that hill. This hill does lead over to another landing platform that's raised, and another one over there. And it leads to a small mall. I was gonna put some lights in here, but I never got around to it. I figured if I won the contest, then I'd get around to it. But that's that. Then there's a big ship up here, which I built for somebody from one of their favorite video games, and they bought it from me. So I let them use the design in their own survival build. So yeah, that's kind of that. I'll show you a little bit around in here, but not really. This is the cockpit. I believe the game is Elite Dangerous, by the way, if anybody's wondering. There was a small ship in the back. He didn't ask me to make it, but I did my best to fit it back here. And then around here, just made some extra rooms and stuff. Just trying to fill out the ship as much as possible. Figure you buy a big ship, it should be a big ship, you know? Okay. But yeah, that's essentially it. Then you go down here to get back to the landing pad. A couple other things to explore is this battle scene with an explosion to an Icleosan fighter. These are supposed to be like bank transports, maybe, but I don't know. I never got too far into the lore side on this one. You'll see them coming around this way to cut those ones off. Then you'll see that they took down one over here, and you'll see that the initial explosion took out some of the trees and wildlife. And you'll also see how fast everything grew over. You'll also see that the party that shot it down landed next to it so that they could raid. The idea for this spawn was so that people who have been on the server longer can come in and hide things, and then the new players have reason to come here and look around. And obviously it can't be anything like game ending, but it could be, you know, a nice piece of leather armor. It could be some food, something like that. Something just to kind of get people going. Okay, and then I will show you a bank. I was working on this and the bank at the same time, which is when I kind of created that idea of those bank transports. Like I said, I didn't really get into the lore too much on that spawn build, so that's kind of as far as I got. I won't go into depth, but we saw a Franklin Wright house in Ohio, and we really liked it, so we're building something that was very similar for maybe our future home. I won't go in because I don't want to spoil anything, but that is kind of what we were doing here. So I passed it. Let's start highlighting things. Okay. Holy mackerel, fire. So this is definitely something I started this year. This is the bank. I believe that is the front side. Nope. Maybe? Not sure. Yeah, this one. Cool. Okay, so I will show you the front. don't mind all the redstone. There's a ton of flipping redstone to this build. Basically, this is the front of the bank. These windows would have gone all the way around, but I haven't finished this project. So this is what we've got so far. So far we've got these yellow lines. These would also continue. These are gold blocks, actually, not yellow. And I'll go in and show you the lobby. So this is where the attendees would be. That would help you get where you needed to go. And this is where the customers stand. So this is what they see. That side of the bank's not done, but this side is. At least on the first story. So we've got these large gold pillars. We go into the next room. We've got a nice little seating area. So there's a seating area. Nice pillars again. And then up here in survival, we do have a teleporting machine, and it's made with like rainbow glass and some technical components in the middle. So I made it look like one of those, because that was where they would go. And they would be public versions, so they could go anywhere that needed to go. And then back here, this is where the manager's offices are. So, and there's just endless amounts of them. And then everywhere that you see a spire, these would be where the elevators go. That would take you to your private room. Basically, what it looks like would be you'd teleport up. You would get stuck here. These would be privated doors for just you. But in case there's a way through privated doors, you would also have a private door here. And just in case there's a way through that private door, there is a redstone. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite builds.
Thank you. There's a redstone door. There would be a full wall of levers here that you'd have to pick through to figure out which ones it is, and you have to get all of them correct. So there's one of those, and then two of those, hopefully with two different combinations. And then you go into your elevator. This would be your elevator to get down into your vault. And in survival, it would let you go down. There would be a pressure plate there, an elevator pressure plate, and it would let you go in. And this is the same design that was up there. So continue. And then yeah, you have two doors. So you have this door, and this door would let you go out onto the main floor and walk around for whatever reason you want to walk around down here. I don't know if I'm actually going to keep that, but I'm also thinking it's a nice way to get up into here without going through all of the hecticness up top. So these ones, again, same door. Go through here, and then so this block will block you in. I'm not allowed to really say why that would work, but yep, it would work. Trust me. This would be a privated door, and then standing on this block, if you were not supposed to be here, you would get stuck forever. This is where you would die. So, and then well, that did not work, and continue past three more privated doors. 1, 2, 3. And this is the vault. This is as big as the player vault is. Basically, it holds all of your money and it protects it. So, around it is lava and water walls, meaning nobody can break into it with cannons or anything else either. yeah, that's basically that. We'll go out here actually, and I want to show you the lobby down here. I will not show you the big vault, but there is a giant vault at the end of that hallway, most likely. And then this is another elevator. I build all of them with continuity, so it just looks like the elevator moved instead of you moving. But there are several down here. So, and then these are the guard posts. And I will have redstone lamps hooked up to every place in here. And yeah, so that way you can see if there's any activity going on. Sweet. Alrighty, we'll head out here. Alright, we're going to head over to the Lawn Donge. On the way there, I'll go through some of the lore behind it. It is called the Lawn Donge because it is built on secondary Earth in New London. New London is a city that was created as kind of a hyper point, so it connects people from multiple worlds into there using planetary beams. Planetary beams basically allow you to teleport matter in and out of space that's nearby. Since secondary Earth is close enough to Earth, it is able to teleport people from Earth. So, and canonically, there would be a planetary beam in London, and that would be how most people get to secondary Earth. Those who know about it, at least. So this is the Lawn Donge, which is very similar to that big white ship that we looked at first, but this one is much larger and is a capital vessel. This is flown by Forbidden, but before everybody knows that he is changed storylines actually. So he is not only the security operator, but he is also the king of secondary Earth. So this is where the landing bay is. There's 3 of them tall on each of these spires. Up top on the spires, my lovely wife helped me create a rolling machine that would take items and filter them out into these bins. And this is kind of what we worked on quite a while ago now, probably 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah. And this is the working airlock that I am so very, very proud of. Basically, give me a second. I believe it is the button. Yes, it is. Okay. So the lever lets me shut off all the lights around here. So if I needed to make a scene that wasn't well lit, I could do that. And then this button here will open the first door, close the first door, spray water, and then open the second door and close the second door. So it's not only an airlock, but it's also a purification chamber. So I'm very, very happy with that design. I don't know where my brain cells were at that day, but they really came out in full force. Yay me. I have yet to see them again since then.
They're there. They're definitely there somewhere.
Maybe. This is also where I tried doing the power magnification for the shields. So you can see that in the middle you have the darkest blue for the shields, and that's because it's receiving the least amount of power. And you see at the edges, that's where you have the lightest blue, because that's where you're receiving the most amount of power. So it kind of dies out in the middle. and you can see them really well at like a diagonal. Because of how massive this ship is, you can only really see it a little bit. But it's just there enough to give you the hints of it being there. There are 4 cylindrical tubes as well, instead of only 3, which is on the basic white ship. Next up, I think we will look at this thing here. I'm not sure which building this is, but no matter what, we're going to start with that one. So I got really into Art Deco buildings about a year ago, and I built this thing right here. Yeah, I did pick the right one. Based off of an Art Deco building in New York. And I don't even know where to start with this, so we're not even going to really look at this one. But yeah, basically I was just flowing and loving building these. So I think this build took me about a week and a half to finish. And I really wish I could replicate this because, man, am I happy with this building. I really wish I could build like this all the time. Then for Corey, so basically Art Deco buildings back in like the 1900s were used as like a status symbol from large prominent families. So I was thinking through and thinking, oh, well, you know, it would be really cool in for Corey's Haytide show that he makes. You know, if he had the prominent families each have one of these, it'd be really cool, you know? So I made, or started making, this blue and green one, more green, I guess, for the Gel family, which I won't say anything more about. But that inspired this. So I had like holy symbols on the sides for the first floor windows, and I had references for these, but I don't remember what my references were. But yeah. Cool. So that's basically that. Oh, I'm pretty proud of the back of this build. Back of this build kind of looks data-like because of all the graphs that I have on the back. And this, I love this shape. I need to put this somewhere else. Just take it right off this build. But yeah, sometimes I'm just cooking and sometimes I'm just not. Oh, and these windows on this build, I did like a bleeding heart. So it goes from like red to red and blue, back to red as you go down, which I'm very, very fond of. And I also made these guardians. I like putting these guardians places now, just as like little fun Easter eggs, because they're so freaking cute. So, but this build was from 2024, I believe, very tail end of 2024. This is one I made in 2025, and this is a corporate funding, which, if you don't know, is kind of like a shadow government of the shadow government, but is in the public eye. So basically how it works is it is a giant corporation that it's kind of like a large chamber of commerce almost in the way it's run, but that's really all I'll say about that. But I've got these really cool lights. I actually found a reference for these. I was watching the Loki show, and they had asymmetrical lighting in the TVA, and this build and this corporation kind of reminds me of a TVA. So I was kind of trying to match the vibe and aesthetic there with these asymmetrical lighting choices. And I've got more crazy freaking window designs. And there's going to be something back there eventually. I've somewhat decorated the inside of this building and somewhat not. But yeah, more asymmetrical lighting there. Second floor, you've got weird office layouts. I love lanterns. I think that lanterns need to be in real life places too. I don't know why, but yes, please. They just are so beautiful. Love them. A nice big conference room with a nice window to look out of. More asymmetric lighting. You'll kind of see that as a theme throughout. Is that everything's kind of asymmetrical. But the building itself is super symmetrical because it's the way it should be. It makes it easier for me to build. So we'll go up to the next layer, and in here is pretty much more of the same. We have giant monitors which show progress metrics and stuff like that. And then we've got a nice office for like a manager / director. All right, and then we'll continue upwards. And we'll get to these very beautiful, large purple windows. This is supposed to be a fantasy sci-fi build, so this is perfect. And then we'll go up more. And you'll see more of them. As that's really all there is at this level, except for a little bit back here. And we'll go up to the C-suite up this way. There's an elevator here for ease, because you know they'll usually use the elevator. And then this is their space up here. They do have Tudor windows as well as giant floor to like mid-ceiling windows. Which, how can you ever pass that up? So that is that. This is going to be another one of those corporate fundings, but for a large town, but a lot smaller of a town than this. This is going to go in the capital city of Montreal. And this is a small corporate funding that's just supposed to be like a standalone in like a small town. So that's kind of what it looks like. Good stuff. Oh yeah, and earlier this year, because my wife and I, we own a farmers insurance agency, I made the farmers logo by hand, and I posted it to TikTok. But this is what I made. Very, very happy with this actually, for doing it by hand. This is the first logo I have ever made that had to represent a real logo. So that was a fun challenge, and I would definitely do it again. Wow, that was fun. It took me flipping hours, but
Forever, but so worth it.
so worth it. It looks so good.
It does.
All right, and then one of the last things to show before we either decide to work on a project or not is the thing that I've been working on for the last few days. As I showed you the big black ship before, I will show you what I've been working on. So basically, and I've created a bunch of new building techniques that I'm going to use from now on. And I'll kind of show you how I did those. So I took the original bridge, which I believe should be right here. This is the original bridge. Basically what I wanted to do is, like I said, that ship is like 1/16 scale. I felt like this thing was so small on the inside. And I really don't like the way it feels. So I needed to change that so I could at least feel how big the real one would be. Or at least one that's more similarly scale, even if it's half scale. So basically what you do is you come up from the neck of the bridge, which is a couple staircases up, and then you come up like through a side, and now you're in the main bridge part. So I took it from here and went, okay. And then there's a couple different pieces to this bridge. This is the main part. This is where the gunners and stuff work. And then up here, this is the bridge stem. It's kind of like a brain stem. This is where the technicians are. This is where the mechanics are. And this is where the rest of the gunners are for the different parts of the ship. This is also where the door mechanics are supposed to be. And airlock mechanics, all of that kind of stuff as well. So keep in mind, there's a lot going on in this floor. And there's supposed to be like 50 plus people working only in this floor alone. So the ship itself holds 16 million people and was basically dug out of a mountain, is how it was created. And actually it's like a chain of mountains plus the bedrock below them. So it's kind of the aesthetics I'm going for. This is the wool version. That's why it looks a little different than the first one I showed you, but it's block for block the same other than wool. So cool. So that is that. Up here we have Equinox's throne, obviously. And then in front, this is where the commanding is done to pilot the ship. About 15 to 20 people, are supposed to work on this floor, and it should not feel squished. So that's kind of what I was working on. Then I had to figure out how I wanted to do it. So I measured everything and decided that I was going to do as many decks as possible. In my books, I currently have that it's supposed to have 8 decks. However, after building it, I'm not sure it has that many. I'm thinking that this is as close to a 1-to-1 scale as I can get, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I will kind of show you my building techniques and what I learned, and then I will show you the finished product. Or not finished, but my more completed project. So here we have the front, which is supposed to be kind of like a hook. This is meant for signals to be relayed from one end to the other end of the bridge quickly. Then we have the sensor network, which you'll see along the sides. I'm sorry, not sides, along the middle of the bridge and the ship, and is called the spine. The spine is very important because that not only allows for the packages of sound to be received, but the packages to be sent as well. If we did not have those in a central location, had them all over the ship, it'd be a lot harder to send messages from one part to another. Another thing that I learned is I used to build everything out of cobblestone and then replace it all with the colors I liked later. What I did for this one is I did a blocky texture so I could see the smoothness of the lines better and adjust where I needed to. What happens with cobblestone is it becomes really hard to tell how many blocks apart something is, where when it's in a more blocky format, you can see each block individually. I don't know why that happened. That was weird. So then I worked on where I want my slopes to go, and I mirrored them off of that other piece of that ship. Or I'm sorry, the other bridge, the smaller one. And I kind of decided, you know, where it would kind of flow best on this one. In building half a ship, I really wanted to add a snake head / skull or something here. So I added little things to this, thinking maybe either this thing here would look like a snake, or this could be some kind of like eye and cheekbone, and this would be the snake mouth. You'll see what it ends up looking like in a minute, but very happy with that from only building it with half a ship. You can see my little white band-aids. I do fix those later. Everything becomes black. Along the way, I did make certain things black just so I could see how it would go together. I really liked that I did that. I do that on some builds, but not on others. And I really think that it adds specific elements. So I can go in with these stairs and make sure that these stairs match. And I can go in with the glass and make sure that the glass and the black make sense. And where it's needed, I recess the black, and where it's needed, I recess the glass. And that way I can get a detailed design of what I'm building before it's finished. Up here I did switch to granite, and that way I could see my different pieces a little bit better. So I did have some pieces on the other bridge that I still wanted to not replicate but include, and I really liked this piece here, which is going to be kind of my snake mouth as it turned out, but I didn't know if it'd be more like my snake head. But I ended up really liking a similar part of that on my other ship, so I included that specifically in the granite. And then for the outline of the main control portion of the bridge, I did make most of it out of granite, just so I had an idea of the scale of just that piece of it, as that piece should be not the largest, but definitely I don't even want to say widest. It should feel not cramped. So I wanted to make extra sure that it was a little bit taller, a little bit wider, and a little bit more cohesive of an environment for this ship. And the last one, it felt kind of teeny tiny and small. So yeah, without further ado, I think I'll go ahead and show you my new one. And we'll go from the outside first. I'll fly up so you can see the top. You'll see the snake head, which ends up being the eyes here and here, and the mouth here. Kind of looks like a copperhead. Also kind of looks like a skull. 100% what I was looking for. Very, very happy. I am adding those radio towers on the sides up here, as well as in the middle on the spine. This is the mostly finished product. I am adding some little areas on the side for viewports. I am smoothing out some curves, but I am mostly done with the exterior of this ship. So I will go ahead and show you the inside from the starting point, just like I did last time, if I can find it again. Black on black is really hard to see through, so that's awesome. I love that. That is another reason why I build out of blocks that don't match black. This is going to get kind of dark. I do up front have the Equinox logo, which is usually one side dark, one side red, but I thought it was really nice that I keep them both red, because otherwise it would look terrible. These are the horns on the front for easy communications to each side. Fantastic. So that's the start. I don't have all the windows in place / viewports on the horns, so I need to get on that as well to finish up the outside. On the sides, these would go down into the neck of the bridge, and back here, all of this area would be for the turret commanding posts. Then we have our midsection of the bridge, which I don't really know what to do with back here. And then on this side, we again would have all of our technicians. Miss Music and I are going to go ahead and finish up all of those workstations in the next probably couple of years. I mean months. I mean days, weeks, years. Definitely years. This is the bridge stem. As soon as we get past this doorway, which is not even visible anymore. Wild. I don't even know where it is anymore. Oh, it's this. This is the doorway. So as soon as you get past this, I gotta make this a little bit more clear. Let me go up and grab some of this. Okay. We're also gonna fix that. All right, cool. So yeah, after that, this becomes the bridge stem, which again is like the brain stem. This is where the technicians work. This is where the maintenance workers work. This is where all of that kind of takes place. You have their overseers who can come up here, and you also have another portion of the bridge stem, which comes up here. This is the technician's workshop, so any projects that they're working on that have large needs, this is where they would work. And this does also have viewports, which is always very important. I do need to add railings on these stairs as well, as you could easily die immediately if you just like stepped the wrong way. And then we'll go up to the top. This is the actual command center. So Equinox's throne would be way back there, meaning the stairs are no longer behind his throne, because who would ever want to not know who's coming up into the bridge? That just sounds terrifying. But, you know, I built that bridge years ago. I didn't exactly think of that, and also ran out of the room because I had started on the other sections of this shit before doing all the rest. But that's okay. This is the underside of those eyes, where for the snake, and this is up here, the snake's mouth. You can see the radio relays, and those copper bars is what I'm using for as the packagers. Basically, multiple radio waves and sound waves come into here and get stored, and then go into the packager to be pushed through as one file, and then the file gets sent via. I don't even know how to really describe it without getting complicated. They use wormholes to send those sound datas to places, not instantly, but somewhat instantly. So that's kind of how it works. It packages them, and then it sends them through there to wherever they need to go. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. I finished this literally today, pretty much right before stream, and I've been working on it, I think, 2 days?
Yeah.
Just yesterday and today?
That sounds right.
I think so as well. I think it's only been 2 days. Probably a total of um, 6 or 7 hours, if I had to guess. I wouldn't even say it was that much, but I've done a lot of just staring at this, so maybe in total.
Maybe. I think that's about right.
Yeah, pretty happy with this. I was going to build some stuff, but it is 1 a.m., and I think that I am done streaming because I have showed everything. So I think I'm going to go ahead and make a list of what I want to work on in 2026 and things I hope to accomplish. One of those things being I want to have a larger fleet for at least one of the ships that I already have. So I'll have a Londonge and I'll have the other ships, so I don't need to do any more for those because those are the only two kinds of Urchian ships. But for Gobange, Beigel, those two, I guess. Can't think of another. Oh, Amel. I do want to create a larger fleet for those. Once I get my Amelian ship done, which that one is not a capital ship, but I will never build a capital ship because it'll be probably as big as my big black ship. So no thank you. I don't want another ship that big ever again to build. But it probably will be 3 or 4 times the size of these Invalid vessels. It already kind of is, if we're being honest, which is what this is. But yeah, I want to finish this, and I want to make more of a fleet. So I want to make a smaller Amelian ship, maybe, or at least another Gobanjan ship or two, plus some Beigelshan ships. Get a whole fleet of those done. I also would like to get a fleet for Invalo, and that can include Invalo, Osgenian, all of those kind of ships, as those are the main Talagon Empire ships that are used. Another thing I'm hoping to work on this year is I'm hoping to get better at gradients. So I want to build large buildings and use gradients on them. I specifically want to learn how to use gradient wheels, which I've seen other builders use. I do not know how to use those. I do not know how to make them, but I am very interested in learning how. That is definitely a goal for this year. Another goal I have is I would like to start a Planets of the Universe server, or just pick out a place in this world and start a large scale build of one of these planets. So those are kind of my goals for this year. Not all of them will happen, but hopefully 1 or 2 do. Another thing I was working on but stopped like almost immediately is I was going to build this large solar system setup of planets, but basically I built the sun and then was like, yep, that's enough work for any of that, and I quit, which is kind of how I go about things usually. Is I come up with an idea, I start it, and then go, this is a lot, I have to quit before I start another big black ship problem, where I've got this ship that I work on all the time and no progress is ever shown for it, which is great. I love that about my life. I spend probably more than 500 hours on the ship, and I really see no progress anymore because I'm working on small details. So I would like to finish the exterior for this ship. I think that is a very realistic goal for myself this year. Knowing more about commands now more than ever, I think that is a very realistic possibility. So Yeah, anything else that I would like to do? I think gradients is my big flaw. The only problem on ships is it's really hard to do them as they move. So I can't really decide how the light's going to be on them, you know? Because in different settings, they're going to look different ways. So that leads me back to why I want to build one of those large-scale planets. That way I can have an environment where I'm encouraged to use gradients. And I think I would like to do more large buildings as well. I have a lot of fun with buildings. So I don't build them enough. So I really do think I should focus on that this year as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that is it. Yeah, I think that is all. I think I am going to end stream now.